It's been near 2 decades since we had anything Animorphs come through our letterboxes. But now, thanks to Chris Grine and obviously the authors of Animorphs, we have Animorphs, the graphic novel. I've been looking forward to this, and I know that you have. It's about time we got something new from Animorphs officially. And this is it. It is made by Scholastic, adapted by Chris Grine. I've done a video previewing this, and now I've got it. I've also got a paperback version on the way. There is a paperback and a hardcover. This is the hardcover version. And the packaging is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Nice sizable book. It's made well, made very well. And it looks awesome. Now, as we all know as Animorphs fans, we've been somewhat deprived of decent quality Animorphs stuff. Outside of the books, what did we get? We got things like that, or little Happy Meal toys. We got, let's face it, feck all. So it's about time something came along that wasn't part of the main book series, although technically you could say it is, but something outside of the original run of books that was worth a damn. And here it is, something finally to get our teeth into that we can celebrate to the fullest extent as Animorphs fans. Now, first things first, how do I think this is? I think everything about this is superb. Well done, Chris Grine, well done the authors. It's very, very loyal to the original book, The Invasion, with only a few minor exceptions, which we will get into. I think the artwork is nice and colourful, relevant for the most part, and it maintains the charm and wit and excitement of the original Animorphs Book 1, The Invasion. Need I say more? Yeah, of course, this is a proper review from the Animorphs YouTube channel. You want to hear the more gory details, and gory details there are. So let's get into that, shall we? First things first, and probably most important when we talk about graphic novels. By the way, this is the first graphic novel I've ever really bought and read, so I'm not coming from the position of an expert, I'm coming from the position of an Animorphs fan. The art style. At first I was unsure. If you go back to my preview, I said it looks quite charming, looks like it'll grow on me. It has grown on me. And that's partly down to the changes of tone that are apparent in this book. You get some scenes where it's quite colourful, quite cartoonish. For example, the part where Jake morphs Homer. So this section of the book here, I'm sorry I don't have I'm not putting graphics up or anything, but I think this should suffice. But this style where Jake is morphing Homer, it's quite cartoonish, quite light-hearted, and that plays quite well into it. But then we get to, say for instance, the end of the book, where Visser 3 morphs into the massive alien, I forget the specific name. But, I mean, it says it here, acquired this from the fourth moon of the second planet of a dying star. But the art style changes to fit the tone of what's going on, and I think that's brilliant. If we kept the light-hearted stuff, when I say light-hearted, it tends to be less detailed, but when we get into this sort of stuff, the detail really comes out and it makes it look more impactful and serious. And I think Chris Grine really judges that well. Superb job there. For the most part, the dialogue is taken directly from the books. There are some changes. Some of them I do approve of, some of them I'm not so sure about. The one that I definitely approve of is, and I'm pretty sure this wasn't in the reissue, correct me if I'm wrong, I've only ever read the original. By the way, there are spoilers here, just in case you were wondering. This panel of Cassie down here, where they're wondering about the cop who grabbed Cassie. Now in the book, Cassie just said we won't have to deal with that anymore. And that was it. We got no sort of emotional depth. But Chris Grine has added this line, where Cassie also says, and no, I don't want to talk about it. And she's clearly quite tearful, which makes it seem more like a way Cassie would react. Whereas in the books, it was just an offhanded, oh, I killed him. So there are changes in here that Chris Grine has done, which I do approve of. I'm also very happy to see at the end a preview of the next Animorphs, so that would be number 2, The Visitor. And I cannot wait to see the scene with all the birds, the Animorphs and their bird morphs coming out and doing their birdie thing. As for specific character designs, there are some unusual choices that I don't really care either way. So for example, Tobias, I pictured his hair being very messy, sort of similar to how Jake's is here. But he's come out as, it looks like he's sort of a failed emo, which is what I said in the preview video. Sorry about the lighting, by the way. I'm not sure if that hairstyle really suits Tobias, but after a few pages, it just felt, I got over it, and that's Tobias now. Marco, on the other hand, has short hair. Relatively short hair, whereas in the books he was known to have long hair up until book 10, I believe it was, the android. But here he starts off with short hair, which is a strange decision. I don't know why Chris Grine has made that decision to make his hair short from the start. If he wants to explain that, that's up to him. But does it matter, Marco's hairstyle? Not particularly. Cassie, Rachel and Jake look for the most part fine. Rachel has some strange facial expressions at some point, but it's a cartoon, you know. Now, aliens. Now, this is where it becomes a bit more controversial, shall we say. For the most part, the aliens look quite all right. So this is Elfangor here coming out of the ship. The Andalites, though, do not have mouths. Therefore, it would be logically sensible to say that they don't have jaws. In here, they do appear to have very distinct jawlines. So again, that's Elfangor there on the floor. A massive protruding chin there. The most egregious example actually comes with Visser 3. Here comes the Crimson Chin. Visser 3's jaw is massive. Massive! When I picture Andalites, I tend to picture, as it was described in the books, very triangular faces. So take off the jaw and cover it with fur and what have you. So it was a bit strange going through this and seeing the Andalite designs. By the way, it was pointed out on the Animorphs Discord. These are some thick Andalites. I mean, look at that. Bloody hell. They need to go on some weight loss courses over here, these Andalites. So the Andalites, for the most part, look alright. There's just some odd choices in design here. The Taxxons, I think Taxxons are alright. The mouths on top of their heads, I thought, say for instance, if you look at book 43, the test, it's not like directly on top, it's sort of sticking out forward, but that's a minor quibble. The Hork-Bajir, for the most part, look alright. They do somewhat resemble a strange Tyrannosaurus Rex. They were described as having Tyrannosaurus feet, not necessarily Tyrannosaurus bodies. And also, they were described as having beaks, as in bird beaks, and snake-like heads. And that's not quite what we see here in these books. They've got these sort of serrated jaws that come out like a what's that? Some sort of tool, hammerhead or something. So yeah, the Hork-Bajir don't have the beaks, which I associate is Hork-Bajir with, which is, again, an odd choice of design, but a slight quibble. But the most noticeable thing about the Hork-Bajir and the Taxxons, as I will show you, is the size. Look at the size of them. That's a full-grown man. The Hork-Bajir and Taxxon must be approaching 11, 12 feet there. The Hork-Bajir were 7 foot tall on average. That's a very tall person, but that's ridiculous. And the Taxxon. These aliens are absolutely enormous. And I don't know why he's made them so big. Again, wow. That is one thick Hork-Bajir. Wow. And they've got shields on one shoulder, which, again, it's never mentioned in the books, but it's an interesting character design. I'm not going to fault that. So I've gone into a sort of a more critical way of looking at this book now, which I think is fair because I've said so much good stuff about this. I've got to be a bit nitpicky because this is the review. I can't just be like 10 out of 10, 100% superb. I'm going to pick out little bits that I found questionable. But don't let these criticisms distract from the fact that this is a wonderful addition to my collection, by the way. Just that little disclaimer there before anyone thinks I'm getting all negative and what have you. Saying that, let's talk about a couple more negatives. A lot of the stuff from the pool scene towards the end was rather unusual, I thought. For example, some of the dialogue was very strange. And just one example here, where we're in the pool, and this Hawkbudger is just slashed at Rachel and her elephant morph. And Jake and Marco in the background are saying, "Dude, you made her mad." Marco says, "Bad move." And it just seems... It's in the wrong tone, I think. It's not lines from the books. It didn't feel right. I don't know, just... We're deep into Yerkpool. These animals are frightened of their lives, and they're smirking in the background behind this Hawkbudger who's just attacked their friend, and they're just having a bit of a laugh, and it just seemed a bit... not right. But perhaps the thing that I find most egregious throughout this whole book is a very, very short little bit. And it might seem insignificant. Now, when I think of the Animorphs, and I think of them in a combat scenario, I always see them being self-defensive. And I believe, for the most part, that is the case. And that's exemplified in Book 19, The Departure, when Cassie goes through a real guilt trip because she attacked a Hawkbudger after they had the opportunity to retreat. She attacks a Hawkbudger after they've had that opportunity, and she feels serious guilt. The Animorphs, as far as I remember, they never chased the enemy. They never went to engage a retreating enemy. Because not only is that something that I don't believe the Animorphs would do, it's also not very ethical. When somebody is retreating, you shouldn't attack them unless in very severe circumstances. And there's this part here where these three Hawkbudger are running, and I forget who says it, I forget who the grey blobs are. "These guys are trying to leave the party early. Not so fast, pointy dudes. I have some big old fists for your faces." It was Marco. That's not in character for the Animorphs, to chase down retreating combatants, and that irked me a bit. That's not what Animorphs were about, chasing down retreating enemies. But that's a very small point. Remember when I said Crimson Chin? That's the image that made me think of it, that one there. Look at the size of that thing. Christ, Visser 3. There's not much to talk about plot-wise, because you all know the story of this one. If you want a review of this story, go watch The Invasion review. The morphing in this book, as a final note, is one of my favourite bits. When you see the animals morphing, it really does look quite grotesque, as it should be, rather than what it was in the TV show adaptation. I think that's one of the things that Chris Grine has pulled off really well in this book, is the morphing. I think he's done a brilliant job. And he hasn't held back on the violence either. This last scene here, Rachel is just, and Marco are just ripping Taxons to shreds. Look at Marco there, just absolutely tearing a Taxon in half. And this here, where Visser 3 has shot a fireball and taken out 2 people, burning them alive. This is kid stuff, by the way. It's a fascinating read, this one. It really is. And I tell you what, I am really looking forward to Animorphs graphic novel 2, The Visitor. And that will be coming out this time next year, if all goes well. Now, Chris Grine has said that there is the potential for him to do more volumes per year, which I think would have to happen if we were to get a pretty decent go at fulfilling the whole series of Animorphs. It would be really nice if we did get the whole lot, because let's face it, there are some cracking books elsewhere in the series, and it would be a shame for them not to have the same treatment that this book has. Oh, love it, love it. I love getting more Animorphs stuff. I can't say thank you enough to Chris, Michael and Catherine for their work here. And Scholastic, to be fair, thank you Scholastic. After all these years, you finally pulled your finger out and given us all what we ruddy wanted. One of the best images in this one is the full page one. I will finish on this. I think it's a stunning illustration of Prince Elfangor's demise. Not a happy moment, but I think he's really captured the feeling of this. It reminds me though, we never got to see any Taxons devouring anything, which was a shame, but you can't have it all. Hopefully that comes in one of the next 2 that are planned and will be released over the next couple of years. So we will get at least 3 of these, and let's hope for more. So this is a big, massive thank you. A thank you so large, it's about the same size as one of the aliens in this book. To Chris Grine. Smashing job, mate. I'm happy. And so should you be with the work that you've done here. You have made Animorphs fans bloody proud. So we hope to see more from you. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. This has been the review of the new Animorphs graphic novel. Next up in my review series will be Megamorphs #1, The Andalite's Gift. Expect that this coming weekend. Apart from that, if you have any other ideas what you want me to do on this channel, just tell me. Go check out my fan fiction. There's a link below. There are other links below as well, one to my Twitter page, and there's also a link to the Animorphs Discord, where we've just passed 350 members. We have a rollicking good time. Thank you very much for watching. This has been the Animorphs YouTube channel. See you next time.